Sustained as to relevance?
The day of the event, we've seen a few pictures, but I think you've seen one you described where he was in the Instacare smiling in a wheelchair. Do you recall this?
I didn't.
I recall it or I don't.
Yeah, it's not getting better.
I don't know the location. I do recall seeing my dad with a smile that I've never seen on a person's face before.
And that was the date of the incident, right?
I don't know. I don't have a recollection of when I got that or what day it was.
Well, you brought it up when we were quizzing you about your memories. And a picture of my dad in a wheelchair with a big smile, right? You recall
cheesy, not him smile, yes.
Okay.
Scuba!
Do you recall
in the house
your dad describing Gwyneth Paltrow as Godzilla? Coming, like Godzilla was coming after him?
No.
Okay, I didn't make that up. Godzilla was coming. Is that what you understood your dad to describe to you in terms of Gwyneth?
No.
All right. When you said Godzilla in your deposition, which I'm looking right at it.
Yes.
What were you referring to?
So I believe in a video that I watched of my dad talking about the collision that essentially he's skiing down the green run with the beginner.
Okay, I don't want the whole story.
Okay,
I want
essentially
Godzilla. When did your dad tell you about Godzilla?
What he said is I heard a scream from behind me, a blood-curdling scream, and that blood-curdling is my word, like Godzilla was coming. And then he was hit directly between the shoulder blades
and
driven to the ground.
And you personally don't know what happened that day, right?
I was not there.
She's describing
your
the video?
dad, after he says, after the collision, he doesn't remember things for a while. Is that fair?
I wasn't in his body. I don't know what he does and doesn't remember.
Okay. He got his information from his ski buddy, Craig Ramone. Is that fair to say? Is what happened after the collision? Immediately after.
Can I have you ask the question again?
I'll try it. Sorry if I was inarticulate. Is it fair to say that your dad got all of his information about what happened after the collision in the minutes after from Craig Ramone?
Sustained?
When you said you saw a video of your dad, that was at a press conference he held. Is that true?
I don't recall. It's a long time ago.
Did your dad, sorry to interrupt you, were you done?
I am done.
Did you tell me that your dad was not used to Googling his name and having lots of search engines results come up?
Overruled?
Did I tell you that?
Right.
Can you say that again?
I'll give him this.
Please.
He's consistently annoying. He started that way, and he carries on.
Your dad would send you links after he filed the lawsuit about press that was mentioning him. Do you agree?
He would keep me informed of what was going on.
And he kind of thought it was cool that his name was in press. Do you agree?
I don't think he said that it was cool.
Yeah.
He told me
I was listening a little on the way
he
in.
thought it was cool that he was in a ski collision with an accident with a celebrity. He told me that in his deposition. Does that surprise you?
That surprises me that he would say that.
Me too. Would you remember what he said, do you agree you would have a better memory of how your dad was doing immediately after the accident at the time you sent the email 9 hours after the accident than you would like today?
Have a better memory?
Right.
Most likely.
Has your dad told you that even now he comes up with new memories of what happened about the accident that he hadn't had before?
Overruled.
Could you please ask the question?
Would it surprise you to hear that your dad said that he still comes up, well, last time when I deposed him, he's still coming up with new memories of the accident?
Improper use of deposition.
Sustained.
I'll just move on and ask your dad that. So it's a
Good.
little hard to
It's hard
get
for
through
me to
you.
know.
When your dad wrote "I'm famous" as his first, that was his, I guess the call at 6:30ish or something, and then an email at 8 or so, right? Those were his first contacts with you,
I can't remember the order. I think we determined the phone call happened first.
right? And from that you got "he's okay," and from the second one he wrote "I'm famous." Fair? Those were your first two contacts with him after the collision.
I can't remember exactly without looking at the deposition, and you guys figured that out for me.
You mentioned that your dad was an extrovert, and does that generally mean he likes people, he's outgoing,
He gets energy from being around other people.
but also he likes attention? You told me that. Is that true of your dad even before the ski collision?
That's an answer.
Sustained.
Thank you, I forgot that. He likes to look, even before the ski accident, he liked to always look
Thank
the
you. I
best he
forgot
could,
that.
when
What a
interacting with
jackass.
others. He took some pride in that.
He took good care of himself.
And
Thank you, Jules.
have you seen in your dad some measure of pride as his limitations, physical and mental limitations, have increased with aging?
I'm having a hard time understanding your question.
Sure. You understand generally with this concept of as people age, there can be limitations imposed on them physically and emotionally. Is that fair?
As a person ages, that's correct.
All right. And have you observed in your dad, separate from the ski collisions, some measure of sort of loss of pride as those things have occurred?
We're talking about before the ski accident,
Sure.
correct?
Yes.
No,
All right. Did he consider himself like, I'm never gonna grow old. I'm gonna be as active as I ever was?
This guy.
I think when he lost his parents, so he knew that death would be inevitable someday.
Oh, he was aware of his mortality.
I don't know if that's answered your question.
My staff tells me I'm getting long, so I'm gonna try to move this along.
I do have a plane flight to catch too.
Okay, thank you.
I just am biting my tongue there.
Do you believe your father has a clear recollection of who hit who in the ski accident?
He has a clear recollection of hearing a scream and getting hit from behind,
So this
and he
is-
was knocked out.
This is literally the question from your deposition, so I'm going to read it and see
Okay.
if your answer
Okay.
is yes. Do you believe your father has a clear recollection of who hit whom in the ski accident? And your answer?
In my deposition was yes.
Okay. And would it surprise you if he takes the stand in like 2 hours and says, no, I don't?
I
Would
have
that
to be
surprise
honest.
you?
When would it surprise you?
If he contradicts you in like 2 hours.
Actually, as I
Objection.
reread my deposition, I thought, you
Just do
didn't
it.
even answer that correctly.
Ah.
Of course, he doesn't know who hit him because he got knocked out.
But
So
that was your belief. When
that
he
was my
proposed to you.
belief at the time. And I was like, I didn't read that question or hear that question correctly.
And you did have an opportunity to make corrections to your deposition, did you not?
I did.
And you did not make that correction.
I actually
Did you make that correction or not?
I made the corrections and
Did you?
I did not submit that in time because I was told by my dad's attorneys that that will be a red flag and to just drop it. And I did not submit that revised.
So did you make other corrections to your deposition that your dad's lawyers told you not to submit?
I had made,
Yes or no?
did
Did
say
you
that
make
again.
other corrections to your deposition that your dad's lawyers told you not
Let her answer.
to give me? Yes or no?
I made corrections.
The answer is yes.
It's not a simple yes and no.
You have to compound question, jackass.
Well, I'm not happy if you made corrections to your deposition that were never sent to me. So I'm wondering,
I don't care
you
if you're
made
happy.
corrections to your deposition and you gave them to your dad's
You know what?
lawyers? Is
No,
this-
I did
better
not.
make you
I did
feel.
not give them to my dad's lawyers.
Can I rely on your deposition here?
Can you rely on it? At the moment in time, I believed that my dad knew who hit
You
him.
can have him.
As I reread it
Sucks.
later at home, I thought that you answered it wrong, Shay.
All right.
So-
What are some other corrections that you've made to your deposition that
I can't- I
I've never
can't-
heard of until this?
I
moment?
can't remember. I think one was that they kept calling Zakia Jackie. Some mostly were just minor clarifications.
Do you understand why I might be a little irritated in hearing that you made changes that I never got?
Yes,
Oh,
no one got them.
you hurt, bro?
They never got submitted.
You mad, bro?
Your dad was a workaholic. Is that fair?
Later in my life, he became a workaholic when my parents' relationship was not as good as it used to be.
Your dad, prior to the ski collision, forgot to tell you that he loved you very much. Do you agree?
I'm going to have you restate that.
These are your words. Your dad forgot to tell me that he loved me very much. Is that true of your dad prior to the ski collision? Just say yes or no, please.
For my dad. I don't recall.
Growing up, I'm not making this quote up.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, he forgot to tell me. Sure, I can. Page 78, line 16. I'm not trying to.
No, if it's
I
there
want-
in
I
the
want-
deposition.
I want the quote. He forgot to tell me he loved me very much. Do you agree? This goes to his affection, level of affection after the ski collision.
Overruled?
So just say yes or no and we'll move on.
Okay, I'm sorry. One more time and I'll do my best. I may not be able to answer yes or no.
Your dad, okay, quote from you. He
Mhm.
forgot exact what I just said.
78 what?
78, line 17. He forgot to tell me he loved me very much. Did you say those words?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Your Honor, could she read the whole sentence? You just cut off half
Maybe
a sentence.
that could be helpful.
He did hug you.
Just a minute, just a minute. Are you
Let's
impeaching the
take it.
witness or what are we doing here? Why don't we take a recess? It's time for the afternoon recess and we'll address it.
Is that an attempted impeachment? I can't tell. If you got to ask, it's not a good sign. Oh, that's rich. That is rich. All that is horrible. The jury's hating him for it. She's not perfect,
Right.
but
Take a quick break.
I think
he just looks like a prick, and not making enough points for it. In my view,
He's done
Yeah.
because,
Totally reasonable. Let me see.
I mean, this has gone way beyond the scope of direct.
Well, the scope of direct is not.
well, you
limited
might have
by
wanted to
time.
mention that.
It's limited by topics.
We were 25 minutes,
Certainly less than a half hour.
half an hour.
Less than.
Oh my gosh.
What time do you need to leave? Your flight is at 5:30?
So when do you need to leave?
I'll let you work that out with the lawyers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right now.
Oh man. So then the attorney, I mean, it's one bumbling mess after another. The attorney says this is way beyond the scope. Well, you should be making scope objections during it. I didn't see the direct examination, so I don't know if it's beyond the scope or not. It probably is. And the judge's response is scope is determined by subject matter, not time. Well, no kidding. It's insulting that you're suggesting that. Unless I didn't hear him. Unless he said hey, they had more time than me, then the judge is right and he should get smacked for it. We all know that. The scope is you have to limit your questions to what the prior thing was about. So if you're if you're going into new areas that weren't, for instance, on the direct examination, that's beyond the scope. But it is not a matter of time. Someone could direct for 10 minutes and you could cross-examine about it for 3 hours as long as you're staying on the topics involved. But I mean, that's so obvious. It's embarrassing to have to say. All right. We'll take a little break here. We'll come back when they come back.
Mr. Owens, you may proceed.
Thanks. We left on a sour note. Your dad was loving to you, right? He gave you hugs every day. He
I'm sorry. Yes, he did.
he supported you. He was a good cheerleader for you as a father.
He's always been there for me.
And the quote I said, he forgot to tell me, love me very much. I should conclude it, but I got a daily hug from him at least. That was the end of the statement, true?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Did you tell me earlier in your deposition that your dad was well respected in the community until he had the point of an affair?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
Did I tell
yes
you
or
that?
no? Did you tell me your dad had an affair and he was respected in the community until that point, and then he was not?
I did tell you that.
Your dad, on his hearing impairment before the
Not really.
incident, even with his hearing aids, he would need to lip read. Is that fair to say?
I don't know that.
My client tells me to land the plane, and so I am quit. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
All right. And his 2 children.
That's right.
Right. And his kids were the same approximate age as yours on the day of the ski collision.
They all remain the same.
I'm sorry.
Age
I don't know how I got behind.
as each
Very,
other.
very
Thanks,
good
Maria.
We're
point.
like the Brady Bunch. Girls are the same age. Boys are the same age.
All right. And back then it was 12 and 9,
11 and 9.
11 and 9. All right. Fantastic. And the day of the collision, I think you had been to Deer Valley twice prior to
I
that time?
believe so.
Okay. And this was the first day of your ski trip.
I think that's correct.
Okay. And I don't know how many days you were there, but I know, at least from what you've told us, that after that first day, you also skied the next day.
Yes.
Okay. So when Mr. Sanderson was at home, you were skiing.
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. So the children, all 4 of them had lessons during that trip.
That's right.
Okay. Would you agree that those lessons were fairly expensive?
They were.
Okay. Do you remember about how much they were?
I would have to check. Whatever the Deer Valley rate is what we paid.
Okay. Let me know if this is about right. At least from what I saw in your deposition, the total bill was around $8,980. Does that sound about right for 4?
I think that misstates the evidence. I think that was for both families.
For 4 kids.
I would honestly have to check,
Okay. All right. That's fine.
but it's very expensive.
Very expensive.
Very.
Right. And then tips on top of that.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming, you're under oath here,
Look
that
at
you're a good
this, me.
tipper.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. I wouldn't expect anything less. All right. So let's talk about your daughter, Apple. She was
Absolutely.
11.
She was.
Okay. And her instructor was Carrie Oakes.
That's correct.
All right.
I can't stand that.
Apple at the
Class
time
NB
was a
crap.
good
I really
beginner.
can't.
Yes.
And your son, Moses, he was 9 at the time.
Yes.
That's
and he
all
was
it is.
more so of a real beginner.
Yes.
All right. And his instructor was Eric Christensen.
Correct.
Okay. And I think both Carrie Oakes and Eric are coming next week.
I believe so.
All right. Fantastic. So 3 days ago, can you believe it's been only 3 days?
No.
Me neither. So 3 days ago, Mr. Owens, in his opening, talked about risky behavior, risky skiing. And he made mention that, of course, Miss Paltrow was not skiing recklessly not taking any kind of risky behavior because her children were there that day. Do you recall him saying that?
I think it does misstate my testimony, but
Well, it wasn't testimony that you stated.
my argument.
Can you answer the question?
If I remember what he said,
No, just maybe do you agree with that? That on that day of the collision, you were not engaging in any kind of risky behavior, especially
Correct.
because your kids were there.
I was not engaging in any risky behavior.
Okay, but also, and I
Short
think
will
your
intimidate
counsel
me.
made mention
Yeah.
of this in opening, that especially because your children were there.
I don't recall him saying that.
All right, well, did your children being there make it so that you especially would not engage in risky behavior?
I didn't engage in risky behavior. I wouldn't with my children there or without my children there.
Okay. And kind of in life, I mean, I'm a mom, right? I've got a couple kids, actually about your age, and one of them,
Yeah.
not
Meanwhile,
your age,
Spready
your
goes
daughter's
full
age.
immersion.
Sorry, I'm not that old. When my kids are around, I kind of behave myself a little bit better, especially when they were younger, than on average. Would
This
you agree
bothers
with
me
that?
too.
I've always been very open and honest with my kids, and I think they know me very well.
Right. And would you agree that you have engaged in risky behavior with your children present?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure.
Okay, all this, everything's bothering me. Meanwhile, the plaintiff's up there falling on their face with this attorney, and it's not going well. But Chief Spread Eagle is there to save the day and make even a bigger ass out of himself by interjecting that it didn't match his testimony. Which is so stupid. They kick it off with the Class MV crap. I can't stand it. It might sell. I don't know. But I just find it annoying. It doesn't play with me. It may with this jury. It depends on what people you're dealing with. Basically, you should rule. You should find against her because she has money. That sucks. I hate that thought process. I also hate the thought process that this woman, who I haven't seen until this part in the trial, clearly is chosen to examine her because she's a female attorney, and that's the calculation they made with the appearances. And I just think it's a sad state of affairs that this is what we have to get down to here. But they make there's nothing wrong. They can make that strategic choice, but it rubs me the wrong way.
There was, and I hate, God, I hate this one. Ain't nothing but some dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, going back and forth between texts with one another, and I never want to hear it again.
Sorry, I didn't have my reenactment ready. Oh yes. I mean, literally, that's just like a cardinal rule that you're not supposed to be testifying. You testify through a witness when you cross-examination, but you're not actually testifying. The witness is testifying, but you're saying the things you want to say and making them agree or disagree with them. He isn't handling cross-examination that way. He's actually trying to testify, like tell his story. He's not party to the case. If you are actually testifying in the case, you can't be an attorney in the case. I mean, this gets too deep, but I guess he's just misphrasing it. But he did that. He said that 2 or 3 times now. It's incredibly stupid. It's embarrassing. It's an absolute embarrassment that a member of the bar would imply that he needs to testify multiple times during a jury trial. Yes, having said that, I want him to keep going because it's the best entertainment here. There's a bunch of dry nonsense, and then Chief Spread Eagle pops in and says something just incredibly stupid, and and then I wake up, so it's good. I'm sorry, Mister. I thought I was up to speed. If Marie didn't tell me, we would have followed this thing about a half hour late till the end of time. I don't know how I was late. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Ce ne fait rien. I'll wait. Oh, it's on. Wait. No. Chief Spread Eagle's got more to say. Judge, I'm still a douchebag. I'm still going to keep doing douchebag things. Now, if you keep trying to stop me, we're going to have trouble.
We're all back. Thank you. So the objection is sustained, and the jury should disregard the question.
All right, let's go back to the day of the accident.
I can guess
Okay.
at this point.
So you're on Bandana, correct? It's a green run. It's true you were relatively familiar with that run, correct?
Yes, my children especially like that run.
Okay. And the accident happened towards the beginning of the run. Is that accurate?
Not at the top, but
Sure, but
Yeah.
not at the bottom.
correct.
All right. And it sounds like from what I have heard
So,
and
happened
reviewed,
between the top and the
you
bottom.
had done about 4
Okay.
to 5 runs that day, and you and kind of the group were going to go get some lunch with everyone.
Correct.
All right. So let's talk about as you're skiing down. Apple, we've talked about she was 11. Moses was 9.
Mhm.
Did your children, when they were skiing or doing anything that kids do, like to ask you to watch them?
When they were very little, I remember, watch me jump in the pool and things like that. When they were more like 4 or 5 years old, that sort of age.
Okay. So when Moses was 9, he didn't say, "Mommy, mommy, watch me," or "Mom," I don't know what he called you, but
Mama,
"Mama, watch me do things."
not
this
that
is
I
all-
recall on that day.
This is also awkward.
Do you remember testifying that on that day, that's exactly what did happen?
I don't remember.
All right, and I'll show you your deposition in just a second. So in fact, you remember the deposition, right?
Yes.
It was actually during 2020. It was during COVID.
Yes.
So it was via Zoom. We've never actually met in person. It was kind of on the video. And you were asked a question a number of times, were your children asking you to watch them? And you said no. I think you.
I don't remember them saying,
Okay.
watch me on that day.
Okay. Well, do you remember that in that deposition, then we played you parts of Carrie Oakes's deposition?
So, Your Honor, this is improper impeachment. I mean, what's the question that's being contested?
We're just kind of going through the history here.
Not through the deposition. Let's
I'll
hear.
allow a few questions. I think counsel was referring to what was going on during depositions, but
Yes.
please get quickly to the
Abso-
question.
Absolutely. Do you remember during your deposition being played just a portion of Apple's instructor, Carrie Oakes, her
No.
deposition, wherein she said that, yes, Moses was saying, "Mommy, mommy, watch me."
That she was saying, I don't remember that While they were skiing, they were saying that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, no.
All right, okay. And so you don't remember then changing your testimony in your deposition, admitting that that is what happened?
I'm sure if Carrie Oakes said, I'm saying, I don't remember him saying, watch me, watch me.
Okay. Yeah, approach your honor.
You may.
I'm going to hand you a copy of your deposition.
I'm gonna need my reading glasses, unfortunately. Sorry about that.
My
I don't
God,
think there's
this
a
director is so
contradiction here, Your Honor. She said she doesn't recall that Carrie Oakes said something. So I don't know why we can't just move forward.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you. Could you turn
he allowed your sloppy
to page 122
impeachment
of your
for
deposition?
hours. At least he's consistent. I'll give him that.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to read the question that was given by Mr. Sykes.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to know it's Mr. Sykes who asked the question when I read it. Then I'm going to have you answer. Now, Ms. Paltrow, and this is, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm starting on line 4.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Ms. Paltrow, isn't it true? Isn't it true? I'm just a country lawyer here. Okay. Isn't it true that your kids wanted to watch you ski? Or pardon me, that the kids wanted you to watch them ski. Isn't that true? And your counsel, he objected. How did you answer that question?
Let's read the objection, Your Honor, if we're going to do this.
The objection was vague as to time.
Do you want me to rule on the objection? I mean,
If
what's
we're
the
going to
purpose?
read it, then we should read the objection.
Okay, read it.
Yes, the objection said vague as to time.
Yes.
Yes. And then how did you respond?
I
I
don't
said
think
I
so.
can still watch my children ski and be skied directly into my back by someone,
And then you continued.
which is what happened.
Exactly. So you were watching your children when you alleged that you were skied directly into your back by someone.
My daughter was down the hill. My son was to my left. So I was skiing. My eyes were not fixated only on my son
Okay.
when Mr. Sanderson skied directly into my back.
Okay. And so when Miss Oakes, who's going to testify next week, said that your son Moses was saying, "Mommy, mommy, watch me," that's who you were watching, right?
That's vague as to time, Your Honor.
Right, right.
And it
Yes.
just overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was the
Yeah.
question?
When Moses is saying, "Mommy, mommy, watch me,"
Mhm.
that's who you were looking at when you were when you were skied directly into your back.
I do not recall Moses saying, "Mommy, mommy, watch me" on the ski slope.
Okay. Well, Apple was down further, right?
Yes.
She didn't see it.
No.
Okay. And Moses, he was the one, at least according to Carrie Oakes, was calling your attention.
Okay.
Okay. 9-year-old, did he
What
want
could go
more
wrong?
attention to have somebody watch them rather than 11?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Moses was skiing above you though, right? He hadn't gotten down as far as you
He was on my left.
and up.
I was on the right. He was, oops, sorry. He was on the left side of the slope. Yes, I believe kind of a little bit uphill.
Okay. And that's where your attention was when you were hit allegedly in the back.
I don't know where my attention was the moment I was struck in the back. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, that's what you said, which is what happened.
He struck me in the back. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay. I know, but you said, "I can still watch my children ski."
Yes,
and he's
meaning
directly into my back by someone, which is what happened.
Yes, exactly.
What's the pending question? It sounds like they're saying the exact same thing.
I mean,
What's the question?
The question is,
no.
you were watching your children ski when you were struck in the back.
So that's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I was skiing and looking downhill as you do, and I was skied directly into by Mr. Sanderson.
And your 9-year-old son, you will admit, was on your left and up a bit.
to my recollection.
All right. And Carrie Oakes is the one who says that he was the one calling your attention.
You'll have to speak to Miss Oakes.
We will. All right. So I want to go through the accident a bit.
We'll call it the Naughty Adventure.
Because we did this over video. We didn't really get to act it out a whole heck of a lot. But I want to just kind of talk with you first and see if this is your recollection of how it happened.
Your Honor, I think this is improper. She should just ask her what happened. Then if she testified contrary to that earlier, then she cross-examines her with the
Says the guy who has no
And
clue.
What's
Okay.
the objection?
improper use of deposition testimony.
It's a party under Rule 32. It can be used for any purpose. You may
Okay.
proceed.
Thank you.
So far, I
You
think
were going along relatively slowly.
Gwyneth is doing
Is that
great,
fair?
which surprises me.
Yes.
It's not what I
I'm
expected.
just going to kind of ask you a couple
Sure.
questions. So let me know if anything I say is not accurate.
She seems like she's doing
Okay.
fine to me so
you're
far.
going down relatively slowly when all of a sudden you heard a strange rustling noise behind you.
Yes.
Okay. And you felt like a rush of air in a strange way.
Yes.
And two skis slid in
highly
between
doubt
my
that.
skis.
I highly doubt
That's
that.
correct.
And all of a sudden, there was a body from the whole front of a body pressing into my back.
That's right.
Okay. Like, we'll talk about this in a minute. And there was a man behind me pressing into me. How did you know it was a man?
Because he was making some strange noises that sounded male, and he was large. So I assumed it was a male.
Okay, he was large.
I felt all my back
Okay.
pressing.
Okay. All right. There was a man pressing behind me, pressing into me. I was extremely upset.
Well, I was confused at first, and I didn't know exactly what was happening. It's a very strange thing to happen on a ski slope. And then
I agree.
I froze, and I would say I got very upset a couple seconds later.
Okay. Let me just continue on here. I just want to make sure that I got this all right. I didn't know if it was an intentional assault of a sexual nature.
Right.
Okay. Was he grinding and thrusting or something, or just the noises? What made you think it was a sexual assault?
So that was a
Right.
quick thought that went through my head when I was trying to reconcile
no.
what was happening. I was skiing,
At this
and two
point.
skis came between my skis, forcing my legs apart. And then there was a body pressing against me, and there was a very strange grunting noise. So my brain was trying to make sense of what was happening. I thought, is this a practical joke? Is someone like doing something perverted? This is really, really strange. My mind was going very, very quickly, and I was trying to ascertain what was happening.
Wait,
Okay.
strange
And
grunting
he
noise.
said, I didn't know if it was an accident, but he was groaning and grunting in a very disturbing way.
What?
Yes, there was a sort of groan coming out of his mouth.
Okay. Then you said, I froze.
Oh, God.
Yes.
We kept skiing. We went to the right.
Yes,
We came crashing down together.
that's right.
Okay. You said this man was behind me on the mountain. My knee and our skis were still sort of tangled up.
Hmm.
Oh, boy.
Is that yes?
Yes, sorry.
Our bodies were almost spooning, and I moved away quickly.
Yes.
And my knee splayed open, and I was completely in shock.
Splayed
Yes.
knees.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
And if the court
I did not
and
see that
Ms.
coming.
Paltrow, if you don't mind, since again, when we did this over Zoom, would you mind stepping down and us kind of acting this out a little bit so I could get a good feel?
Oh,
Let's see.
a
Can we approach Your Honor?
reenactment.
Sure.
This is going to be awesome. I had no idea. I'm glad I didn't miss this. Seriously. Seriously. Smoke them if you got them. Oh, you know what's going on here.
And I hate, God, I hate this. Ain't nothing but some dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy. Going back and forth between texts with one another, and I never want to hear it again.
Oh, grinding and groaning, knees splayed on the slope. Holy Toledo. This is so much worse than I thought it was going to be. This is truly, I didn't know. This is truly a La Tuck with Mike special. You know what? I got to give it another one. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and clip all that. Oh yeah. Get ready for some clips and shorts on this thing. And I'm first of all, I did this attorney. She isn't horrible, but she isn't good. She's not confident. She's scared, and she's scared, and it was in the chat. And I think you're right. I think she is starstruck, and she's kind of. I think she not the worst I've ever seen, but I think she looks kind of petty. The way she's going at Gwyneth Paltrow. I expected Gwyneth Paltrow to be awful. I'm not very familiar with her, but I'm just hearing the whole goop thing. You think, okay, this is a self-absorbed moron. She can't help but implode on the stand. So that's as much as I know about Gwyneth Paltrow. So I had very low expectations of her, but she's got a little bit of entitlement, not perfect, but she's doing a decent job. And the attorney's doing just kind of a average bad job. I think this particular bit is going well for her, which is not what I expected. And then we've got the. I knew there was a ski accident, but I didn't know there were allegations of grunting and and grinding. We got grunting and grinding. There's a T-shirt in here somewhere. In here somewhere, and you'd think, she'd be prepared for this, given her line of Goop products, but apparently not. Apparently. First of all, I don't.
Court doesn't mind if I act it out, correct?
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, the objection was sustained as requested, but you're welcome to move around the courtroom.
Wonderful, thank you. Do you have a microphone? Yes.
Testing.
Okay, Ms. Paltrow, so your counsel doesn't want you to come down, so I'm not going to ask you to come down.
That's inappropriate. The judge sustained the objection, so she shouldn't comment on what I want. It's what the judge wants.
The objection was sustained.
I am going to try and be both you and Mr. Sanderson at the same time.
God,
Let's have Bob. Bob can be.
It'd get me worse.
He's here. Let's
No,
have him
I
come.
don't want to. We're not going to reenact what happened. I think you can ask questions, and
Yes.
if you want to stand and move around in order to help
Perfect.
you with those questions, you can do that. But that's as far as we're going to go.
That's not a problem at all. All right, so since you're not down here, may I ask how tall you are?
I'm just under 5'10".
That's all right,
I am
Pegleg.
so
You get to see it with
I
us.
think I'm shrinking.
Even
though.
better.
You and me both. I have to wear 4-inch heels just to make it to 5'5".
Wow,
So
they're very nice.
well, thank you.
Yeah, nobody cares.
So, all right. So, as of right now, I'm.
And well played, Gwyneth.
Okay.
Okay. I'm skiing down. Can you tell me with my legs? I don't know. Again, I'm not much of a skier. Are you snow plowing? Are you parallel? Kind of orient my legs first of all.
I'll do the grunting and grinding.
I can do this. I can do this.
Not snow plowing, just
Okay.
skis.
I can sell it. I can
All right.
It's
totally
hard for
sell
me
it.
to see where you're standing.
May she come down just to see?
You can.
Is that
go to where
okay?
You can see better. You can walk further forward, Ms. Van.
Oh, sure. Great.
I don't have any.
All right. So
Well, enough, but the jury can't see it.
The jury, you can go ahead and stand or move wherever you feel
I
you
don't
need to
believe
see what's going
this
on here.
essay on a ski slope
All right,
theory.
so-
That's just flat
Are
insane.
my feet oriented correctly?
Yes.
Go ahead and tell me how to move them.
I think, skiing down, going to the right.
Okay, so
Okay,
about,
probably a little bit further apart.
okay, about like that.
Uh-huh.
And then 2 skis slide slowly between my skis.
All right, so
Ooh.
my feet are
Slowly.
about, what, a foot apart? Would you say 18
I don't
inches?
know.
Probably.
About 18
Okay.
inches we're
And you
talking?
believe that 2 skis slid
can't take
right
any of this
between.
seriously.
That is correct.
Okay. And so all of a sudden you see these 2 skis
Uh-huh.
coming in between your
Yes.
legs. I would have freaked out too.
And I did.
Okay. So the skis are coming. How far did the skis get in between your legs before you guys fell?
His body pressed up into my back.
Okay.
So I froze. I don't know exactly how far the skis would have come through,
Okay.
because then I noticed his body pressing against my back.
Okay.
And then it was probably a few good seconds. And
Nigel.
then we fell to the right. Somebody must have
Yeti.
caught an edge.
Okay. So when you froze and you're skiing together, I think you said at one point it was like you were spooning.
Well, when we fell down, we fell. I fell on his body. He fell on the ground. And so it was kind of like a spoon on the ground.
Okay. So
Was the impact strong enough to dislodge the jade egg?
I
That's
think
my
it's
question.
fine.
That's my next question.
okay. Well, now that Mr. Sanderson is here, and I don't need you to do anything, Terry, but just for comparison's sake, I'm in my heels. We're about
We've heard.
the same height, about 5'5" with heels.
Roughly.
Oh, tell me I'm taller, please. Okay, we've got Mr. Sanderson that's about 5'5" that comes in back of you, and you said that you felt something huge. What was your word
No,
behind
just
you?
a big
A big
body.
body. All right.
Mhm.
And was it just the front of his body that touched the back of your body?
I couldn't see in the back of my head,
Sure.
but I felt a body
Right.
press against my back.
But there was no grabbing, like he didn't like grab your waist or grab your
No,
arms,
not at all. No,
anything like that.
nothing.
Okay. All right. So
Was there any
skis
kung fu
slide
fighting?
between, you kind of freeze, you end up, maybe your skis kind of cross, you end up going down. Would you agree that Mr. Sanderson fell to the ground and then you fell on top?
I don't know if it was simultaneous. I don't remember.
But you didn't fall and hit the ground, correct?
I don't remember exactly where I hit,
Okay.
but I fell over
All right. And
with Mr. Sanderson.
right. And Mr. Sanderson fell and hit the ground.
Yes.
Her testimony is a 69-year-old guy skis into her back and starts grunting and grinding. No,
All right.
I don't
so-
believe it. I don't believe him either.
Going back here,
I don't know what the hell happened out there.
you guys are on
I
the
don't believe
ground.
this.
Now you realize, right? You're not saying to the jury that this was in any way, shape, or form a sexual assault.
I am not saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying what went through my mind for a split second when it was happening.
All right, great. So you're down on the ground, and then you started yelling at him.
I don't remember if I started yelling at him while I was on the ground. I remember pushing away because I was very upset and it was still very strange to me what had happened. And I pushed down the hill and I turned around and I yelled at him.
Okay. Did you scream before you went down?
I don't think so.
Okay. So if others heard a scream, you wouldn't, that wasn't you.
No, I froze. When he slid between my skis, I absolutely froze. And I don't remember yelling or screaming until I was very angry at what had happened.
Okay. And so you guys are on the ground.
Mhm.
And then you said to him, I think you don't know if you were up or if you were still on the ground, but he was still on the ground, right?
Yes.
When you said, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
Okay. Like, why did you do that?
Yes.
And he said, "I think you skied into me."
Yes.
And that's when you were furious and said, "You skied directly into my effing back at the
Sorry.
top of your lungs."
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I apologize for my bad language.
And well, in fact, you were screaming that so hard, you were worried that Moses was hearing you.
Yes.
Okay. And after you were screaming to him,
Only been
isn't that
since I
when
was
Mr.
3.
Sanderson said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry"?
He said, I said, you skied directly into my effing back. And he said, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Right. And that was you screaming at him while he's on the ground still. Right?
I was yelling at him.
Pretty loud, pretty forceful.
I was pretty upset.
Right? You're
Yeah.
small but mighty.
Oh God.
Actually, you're not that small.
Awkward. Awkward. Shut
so
up.
When
Ugh.
he said, I'm sorry, would you agree that he kind of mumbled it?
Yes.
All right. And then you remember Eric came over, Eric Christensen,
Yes.
who was Moses's instructor.
Correct.
Okay. And that was when you were concerned that, oh gosh, Moses is close by. He's hearing me yell obscenities at this man.
Which is not my custom.
Right. And I think you said that. And at some point, the man stood up and we were all sort of talking.
Yes.
What conversation did you have with Mr. Sanderson standing up?
I wasn't having a conversation with him. Eric was helping him up and asking if he was okay.
Okay. Eric eventually yanked him up, right? He pulled him up.
He helped him up.
Okay. He didn't get up on his own accord.
He helped him.
And were you still standing right there when he helped him?
I believe I was, yes.
You sure you hadn't skied down a little bit?
I might have skied down a little bit. My son was down a little bit, and my now husband came over at some point.
Okay.
I remember moving away from Mr. Sanderson after he collided into me and we hit the ground.
Okay. And do you remember, we heard from Craig Ramone, he was the first individual who testified. Do you remember him coming to the scene?
I do not.
You don't remember him at all?
No,
You don't remember him being there or asking you, are you okay?
I do not.
Okay. You don't remember him asking Terry if he was okay?
I don't recall.
All right. And then I think what you've said is Eric told you, I'm going to handle this. And that's what I think you've said people do. They handle things for you.
I don't believe I said that.
You've never said that?
I believe what I said was in the acting world, that's a world of representatives. So you have an agent who represents you. And so if they say, I'm going to provide information, you allow somebody to represent you. So when Eric, as an accredited Deer Valley ski instructor, said to me, I'll fill out the paperwork, he knew also that my daughter was at the bottom waiting for me to come for lunch or at the lunch place.
And so Mr. Christensen handled it for you.
Mr. Christensen stayed and filled out the report, made sure Mr. Sanderson was okay, and said to me, you can go ahead.
Okay. How do you know that if you weren't there?
Because he told me.
Okay. That's what he told you,
Yes.
but you weren't there to see it.
He told you you can leave. He wasn't there. I
Objection.
object to the form. I don't understand. the question.
Sustain. Go ahead with your questions.
You weren't there when the paperwork or the exchange of information was given, fair?
Fair.
All right. And would you agree that Mr. Christensen did not see the incident, didn't see the collision?
Correct.
Okay.
He just saw us right afterwards.
Right. And in fact, nobody from Deer Valley saw the collision.
Correct.
Your kids didn't see the collision.
That's right.
The only person that, and you may not be aware of this, the only person who says that they saw the collision was Mr. Ramone.
Yes.
The way you answer that makes me think that you don't believe that he saw it.
I did not believe his testimony.
Do you believe that he saw the collision?
No, I don't believe that he saw what he thinks he saw.
Ms. Paltrow, why would he lie?
This is a man.
Goes to motive,
question.
Your Honor. But, perhaps that's not the right objection under the rules, so let me be quiet and withdraw my objection.
Yeah, dummy.
Can you answer it?
He said he was at 40 feet away and colorblind. I don't know how he can be positive about what he saw, especially with how much he changed
doesn't have
his
a good
story.
Well,
Dumb
what does
pass, no
colorblind have to do with anything? My husband's colorblind. We tease him all the time that he can't tell
Now
red
you're
or
arguing.
green.
Jeez. Oh,
But what does that have to do with not seeing who hit who?
kindergarten
Well, if you
court.
have two people in ski gear with helmets on and you're 40 plus feet away, I'm not sure how you can discern who is who.
Okay, well,
And I can tell you that he didn't, because Mr. Sanderson categorically hit me on that ski slope, and that is the truth.
and I'm sure that that's what you believe. I'm not saying
Because it's the truth.
I'm not saying that.
Let's get
It's
a
your
question.
truth.
So you and Mr. Sanderson, if you're almost 5'10", Terry's 5'5", pushing it.
Your Honor, that's facts not in evidence.
Counsel, you'll have an opportunity to redirect or to direct examine, so go ahead.
If
counsel.
you two stood next to each other, do you think that somebody would confuse the two of you?
I don't know. I'm telling you what happened.
Okay. All right. So you're screaming
so,
at
too.
Terry, worried
she's
that
doing a good
Moses
job of it.
hears you. You admit that you were shaken up.
I don't
Yes.
believe her story
Okay.
whatsoever. Is there a police
You
report?
don't recall Mr.
She reports
Ramon
sexual assault that she
being
claimed.
there
That's what I
do
want to know.
not.
or asking you if you were okay?
I do not.
Did anybody ask you if you were okay?
I remember Eric Christensen asking me if I was okay, and Brad, my now husband, asking me if I was okay.
Okay. And when you talked to Brad, he was down further, right? Down with
Yes.
Moses. So none of that took place where my client was.
He came over to me after the fall.
Okay. And I just want to make sure you don't have any kind of medical training.
No,
Okay. You don't know what injuries Mr. Sanderson did or did not sustain in the accident.
I do not.
Okay. Are you aware now that you've sat here the last 3 days that he did sustain 4 broken ribs?
Yes.
Aware that he sustained a concussion?
I really
Yes.
should get a spice meter.
Are you
For my
aware that he
streams.
had to be taken down on a toboggan?
So we should be clear, like, does she know as a result of this testimony, or does she know personally?
Would you clarify your question?
Yeah, sure. How did you learn that he broke 4 ribs?
Through all of this.
Okay, and to make it clear, I don't want to find out anything that your lawyers told you. That's attorney-client privilege. We can't.
She said grinding.
Anytime I'm asking you, I don't want you to tell me
That's
what
affirmative.
lawyers
That's
have told you.
That's the
Okay.
implication.
Through the court proceedings, is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. You learned that Mr. Sanderson broke 4 ribs,
Yes.
okay, and that he sustained a concussion,
Correct.
okay, that he was taken down on toboggan.
Yes.
Did you learn of that day?
No.
Well, picked the wrong
Did you
day.
inquire?
To stop sniffing glue.
What is your name again? Sorry. Kristen?
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say Kristen.
That's all right.
I think you have to keep in mind when you're the victim of a crash, right? Your psychology is not necessarily thinking about the person who perpetrated it.
So the answer to my question is no, you did not
I did
inquire.
not.
Okay. Did you ever ask, hey, how was that guy that ran into the back of me? Is he okay? Did you ever ask anybody from Deer Valley about that?
I did not, because at the time I did not know that he had sustained injuries like that. I thought it was very minor on the day.
And you didn't stick around long enough to find that out.
I stuck around long enough for him to say he was
Exactly.
okay, to
That
stand
looked
up,
horrible
that
right
he
there.
told Mr. Christensen he
name?
was okay.
And when he was helped up by
Jackass
Mr.
move.
Christensen, Again, you weren't right there. You were down a ways.
Just a few feet down, yes.
Could you tell if Mr. Sanderson was still dazed or unsteady on his feet?
I could not. I don't know.
Okay. And again, you didn't leave your name, address, contact information. You didn't fill out any paperwork in connection with this accident.
Eric did on my behalf.
Right, but I'm asking about you personally.
So it has been asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay.
I'm coming around to that. Just
After
she's doing okay, but the story
the
is so
incident,
implausible.
you skied down,
The way
went
she
to
tells it.
lunch, and then my understanding is you got a massage.
So after the accident, I met all the rest of the kids at lunch. We all gathered, we had lunch, and I still felt very shaky, and my knee was bothering me, my back was bothering me, so I decided to go in early and get a massage.
Okay. You never did seek any kind of medical treatment for your knee or your back?
No,
Okay. Now, at the scene, before you skied down and had lunch, there was no indication that Mr. Sanderson knew who you were. Is that fair?
I don't know.
Okay. I think, well, you testified there was no indication of that. You were wearing goggles, a helmet.
Yes,
Okay, kind of looked like everybody else on the slope.
that's always my intention.
Don't worry about that. There'll be no
Probably had a better
the
ski
JJ
outfit,
candle.
though, I bet.
I still have the same
make
one.
that sound more.
I just have one.
Okay, so nobody on the hill would be able to recognize you. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Maybe your family and friends.
I have been recognized on ski slopes before.
Okay. Do you recall testifying in your deposition that no one on the hill would be able to recognize me?
That would be the idea.
Okay.
But sometimes paparazzi has a way of figuring it out, is my point.
Okay. So your testimony to the jury here today is Mr. Sanderson skied into you.
That is correct.
All right.
Yes. That
Craig
comes across.
Ramone, you said he's not telling the truth or you don't believe
Great.
him.
I'm telling you that what he said is not what happened.
Okay. So in other words, if somebody says something that's not what happened, they're lying.
He is not telling the truth.
All right.
I don't know if he knows he's lying, but I'm telling you what he said is unfortunately not the truth.
All right. Well, in addition to Mr. Ramone, you've sat here when some of the experts have testified.
Mm-hmm.
We had Dr. Gibby and we heard Dr. Boehm. I always want to say Baum or Boehm.
Yes.
Boehm.
Mhm.
You've heard their testimony
Boehm.
that the only
Oh, yeah.
way that Mr. Sanderson's ribs could have been broken where they were is that if he was hit from behind. You disagree with that?
I think it misstates their
We call it
testimony.
Dr. Evil.
I guess I'm not sure what the objection is, but it's overruled. The jury will have to remember what the testimony was.
That means you get to answer. You disagree with their testimony?
Absolutely, I disagree.
Okay. What medical training do you have to disagree with that?
I'm just telling you the truth of what actually happened.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
All right. And you don't have any other witnesses who sought to support your position, correct?
Well, I have a lot of witnesses who saw the split seconds afterwards and the
You're welcome,
positions
Mama
of
Rex.
the bodies on the mountain, which would indicate very clearly who hit who.
Okay. Do you have any witnesses who saw it?
Who saw the
The
collision?
collision.
No,
All right. And you're not trained in accident reconstruction?
me?
Yeah.
No.
Neither am I. All right. So, Ms. Paltrow, isn't it true that this was an accident that you caused?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would you agree that you are accident prone?
So, Your Honor, can we have a bench meeting on this?
Why don't we take our recess now?
They're called sidebars. Spread eagle. You really need to learn some law. I mean, your hair is all white. It's about time. You know what's about to happen.
There was, and I hate, God, I hate this one. Ain't nothing but some dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy. Going back and forth between texts with one another, and I never want to hear it again.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Can we have a court meeting thing? he literally does not a term sidebar. That's straight out of Beavis and Butthead. Oh God, this is wild. I don't believe her version. I thought she started strong and faded fast. I don't believe her version. It's too much. She tries to imply some essay elements to intimidate and harass it away. That makes zero sense to me.
On pretrial motions, and I have to object.
Which motion?
Number 14. Previous unrelated injuries.
It's her versus
The court's ruling on that was that it appears the plaintiff does not intend to inquire into the areas covered by that motion.
and I found his friend more credible. Simple as that. As far as
to the court, and the motion was therefore granted.
that's what I
The
see.
ruling would be revisited if the defendant opens the door to these areas of evidence at trial. What's the relevance? Let's say she's clumsy. There's been no testimony that clumsiness in any way contributed to the accident.
Your Honor, we also mentioned during that court hearing that questions were asked repeatedly in Ms. Paltrow's deposition if she was accident prone, to which she said, no, I am not, which she has admitted a number of times that she is. So this is all impeachment evidence. And that's when the court said, okay, that's impeachment. Please provide that information to counsel, which I did. He has all of the articles, etc., and the video where Ms. Paltrow went on Jimmy Kimmel saying, yes, I am accident prone. I am always running into things, which is I'm a moron, which is very relevant to this case.
How? Yeah.
Because we believe that that's exactly what she did, is she ran into things like she always does. She was asked if she ever said that.
I think it's a good argument.
She said no. And we have impeachment evidence that she has.
But you've
She
got
says
no,
she's
your
accident
expert
prone.
reconstructionist did not testify that her clumsiness somehow
It doesn't need to be predicated upon
played a
that,
part in the
Judge.
cause of the accident.
It's not just clumsiness, it says she's running into things and that she's accident prone. Absolutely. That's the heart of this.
It's not something
And
that
the
the
point
expert would
is,
opine
she was
on.
asked a number of
What the hell
times
is
in
he
her
talking
deposition,
about?
were you,
And that part I think I see as collateral impeachment. So I don't see that as, I don't see that as your avenue to get the evidence in. The closest, I guess, is your theory of the case, but you've got no expert and no one that testified that clumsiness somehow played a part in the accident. So it would just be argument based on kind of fringe impeachment.
it's not clumsiness, it's being accident prone and always running into things,
Okay.
which is what we
Depends on the
contend
evidence.
she did in this case.
All right. Let me hear it from Mr. Owens.
We shouldn't pretend that we have not had this fight before. I'm in deja vu from 2 months ago when when you already ruled on this. The judge, Your Honor, said the ruling will be revisited if defendant opens the door to these areas of evidence at trial. That's part of page 13. I didn't even have the motions around because we've already had it granted. So why would we need to go dig and find out what our motion said? So, Your Honor, Ramon didn't testify that she looked clumsy, for instance. Ms. Paltrow never says, did not say, I've never been clumsy. Anyway, you've ruled, and we're in deja vu here.
I've ruled, under Rule 404, evidence of a person's character or character trait is not admissible to prove that on a particular occasion the person acted in conformity with the character or trait. And under the court's motion in limine decision, it indicates on page 13, motion 14 pertains to her public appearances and previous unrelated injuries. That's the previous instances of that I believe that Ms. Van Orman's referring to. And the court's order says it appears the plaintiff does not intend to inquire into the areas covered by these motions, and the motions are therefore granted. The ruling will be revisited if the defendant opens the door. If that occurs and the plaintiff wishes to present any of the categories of evidence, he must first address this with the court out of the presence of the jury. And I guess there wasn't any request. I mean, is that what your motion that is pending relates to, that you want a clarification?
No, that's regarding the ski expert.
Okay.
But what about prior inconsistent statements, Your Honor? I'm entitled to ask her if she's testified that she's lied under oath a number of times, and I want to be able
Your Honor,
to show the jury that
Sanderson, I want it withdrawn this moment.
Well,
she has testified
just a moment.
inconsistent.
Just a moment. Just a moment.
Slanderous.
Well, counsel, I'm talking, okay? Have a seat.
The jury's not there.
Okay, when the statement that you just made, do you want to rephrase that?
Yes, absolutely. She has made prior inconsistent statements. During her deposition, Ms. Paltrow was asked a number of times, 3, 4, 5 times.
That may be on this issue. That
Yes.
may be, but to me, without some witness tying it into the essential elements of this case, or the essential issues in this case, I see it as collateral impeachment. So,
Even the fact that Mr. Ramon has testified that she skied into Mr. Sanderson, as in she is also walking into walls, etc.
the ruling was, my understanding was that the plaintiff was not going to inquire into the areas covered by the motions, which included that the previous unrelated injuries or
Okay, well, they had a
other
prior motion
instances of
eliminating this. He already
conduct.
ruled on it.
I'm going to stand by my ruling. I haven't revisited it. I think it's a good ruling.
Don't make me agree.
There was, and I am sorry, all I'm saying, there were inconsistent statements. I am not trying to slander Ms. Paltrow nor say that she's lying by any which way.
You call her a liar. You should.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a short break. And
No,
come
this
back
is
and be fine
insane.
after.
This is insane, this trial. I don't know where he got into the expert thing, though, where the judge is off on that. All right. We'll be back when they start up again. This is a wild one, people. Stop simping, Grigsy. It's not cool. She really did. And Paltrow probably did lie. I don't know, but if I'm throwing that out there, I'm going to stand behind it. She went with, I'm not calling her a liar. I'm just saying she lied. You're doing some lot of talking with the guy in the robe. The accident occurred in Utah at Deer Valley, which is a fantastic ski resort. Sounds like a Paltrow lover to me, right there. Well, then if you're an honest person, you don't lie. You defend on damages, not liability. I have never been to Alta. I'd like to try it. I've been to Snowbird. I just remember burning my quads out on the bowls. Holy Toledo. It's a good place. So is Deer Valley. So is Park City.
Jury is on its way. Okay, come on.
And and I hate this one. There's all bunch of dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, going back and forth between tents with one another, and I never want to hear it again.
My client, will you take the stand?
Yes, please. I think the jury's coming.
They're waiting.
Okay, you can bring them in.
All right, jury.
Ms. Van Orman, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you. So, Ms. Paltrow, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about kind of, this was where my whole,
Just get on the record that my objection was sustained.
I'm sure it was on the record whenever it was there. I don't recall.
Okay, I think we just said that now would be a good time for a bench meeting.
A bench thing.
The objection was sustained.
okay, I'm moving on, shifting gears.
Right.
So, Ms. Paltrow, the reason I got involved in this case in the first place was your counterclaim. So I want to talk with you about the counterclaim. Is it true that you feel it's unfair that Mr. Sanderson has brought this case against you?
I do.
And he has deterred you from enjoying the rest of what was a very expensive vacation?
Well, I lost half a day of skiing.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And I think that's what your counsel has argued as well, that you had a full day pass, but you can only ski a half a day.
Yes, I went back down after lunch.
Okay, right. And that's when you had lunch and you got a massage.
Yes.
Okay. Didn't get your knee checked out, didn't have any kind of medical attention.
No, it didn't feel acute in any way. It felt just like I had overstretched my knee and I had sustained a blow, but it didn't feel like it needed medical attention.
Okay. And you're bringing this claim for $1.
I am.
Okay. In fact, your counsel, Steve, do you still have that dollar bill?
Yes, I'll let you use your own.
I'm not gonna even respond to that. Nah, I don't need it. Sure. Yeah, I don't need it. You saw Mr. Owens wave that $1 around, right?
I did.
Okay. $1 in symbolic damages. Is that accurate?
It's an actual dollar that I'm asking for.
Okay, but you also testified when I asked you questions in your deposition
Yes.
that $1 is symbolic. Do you remember me asking you
It's
about
symbolic because the damages would actually be more.
that? Okay. But remember me asking you, is it symbolic? And you said, yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. And I asked you as well, you learned about that through Taylor Swift because she asked for $1 in symbolic damages, right?
And I think I said at that point I had not been familiar with it, but I since am.
Now you are. But at the time, a couple of years ago in 2020, you didn't know anything about Taylor Swift's $1 symbolic damage lawsuit?
Neither did I.
Counsel?
Because I asked her about it at the time, and she denied it. Correct.
Can you answer the question?
I was not aware at the time.
Are you good friends with Taylor Swift?
No,
Overruled?
You're not good friends with Taylor Swift.
I would not say we're good friends. We are friendly. I've taken my kids to one of her concerts before, but we don't talk very often.
You've never given Miss Swift personal, intimate gifts for Christmas.
Oh boy. Here comes the JDAG.
Relevance, or I
Sustained
would
as
like
to
to
relevance.
bench.
And a JJ.
Well, she just said that she wasn't friends with her, so I'm
Bring it on.
inquiring on that.
Ask
Of course, it's not relevant, but we want to hear it, Judge. Let it in.
Mr. Owens, sustained. Please move on.
You're telling the jury that you are here asking for $1.
Nor did
I
I.
am.
That's not totally accurate, though, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, the jury isn't going to be deciding this, but you're also asking the judge to award you attorney's fees for over hundreds of thousands of dollars. Isn't that true?
Your Honor, the judge has made a ruling on this issue that it will be a separate event.
Sustained as to relevance.
The relevance is, Your Honor, that they have
The
to.
jury
I want
knows.
to argue the relevance. We should do it up here.
Absolutely.
There was, and I hate, God, I hate this one. There's all bunch of dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, dick pussy, going back and forth between texts with one another, and I never want to hear it again. Girl.
But I proved it to be.
Barnett, girl, no, don't do that. Just, I will mute you now, Miss Jones. All right, now, no more girl, Miss Barnett. Now you tell me.
Yeah, without getting into further detail, there were drugs involved that people were giving to me that ended up being glue. Like I smoked some glue and stuff. I thought I was smoking crack, and
I'd have to feel like I should be elected emperor of the world before I could be that arrogant, not show up for a sentencing. Like really, like top two. Only me and one other person get to run for emperor of the world.
Graduated from high school in Huntsville, Alabama, and went into the Navy. I graduated with honors with a Master's of Science in Aerospace Engineering from the U.S. Naval Academy. I did my postgraduate work in nuclear engineering, and I served on board a number of nuclear submarines in the U.S. Navy as a nuclear trained engineering officer.
I'm sorry. Yes? Okay. Objections overruled.
Thank you. And I'll restate it because I know it's been a little while. So it's not true, Ms. Paltrow, that you are just asking for $1. You are also asking, and this is not for the jury to decide, but this is for the court to decide later, you're asking for your attorney's fees in this case, which could be quite substantial. Is that not true?
So
It's a
I'm
yes- it's a
asking
yes
for
or no.
$1 for me
Mhm.
and then reimbursement of attorney's fees, which is a separate thing,
And that could be a substantial amount, correct?
potentially.
Okay. And when your counsel got up waving that $1, don't you think that's a little bit of a mischaracterization?
She said, I have one more question on this issue, and this is now 3.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Don't you think that that's $1? That's a mischaracterization, isn't it?
I took it as I would receive that $1, which is all I am asking for.
Ms. Paltrow, isn't it true that you've misrepresented a number of things today to this jury?
Absolutely not.
No other question.
Mr. Owens.
You've been here every minute of this jury trial, true?
True.
And you're intending to be here every minute next week?
I am.
Oh, good Lord.
Have you enjoyed yourself?
I've learned a lot.
Who hit who?
Mr. Sanderson hit me.
The comment was that Mr. Sanderson doesn't take criticism well. Do you take criticism well?
In my profession, after all these years of being in the public eye, I think I take it relatively well.
You keep sending me notes. I didn't cause these damages.
That's
Right?
absolutely correct.
Do you feel some empathy for Mr. Sanderson and his declining brain?
You know, I really do. I feel very sorry for him. It seems like he's had a very difficult life, but I did not cause the accident, so I cannot be at fault for anything that subsequently happened to him.
So his daughter got up and said he was cursing out her daughter. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
Did you cause that?
I did not cause that.
Did you give him brain injuries that were evident on his MRI in 2006?
I did not.
All right, let's start on a happier note. Let's bring up that picture of you and Moses. And while that's coming up, did you personally take a selfie with you and your son?
I take selfies with my kids all the time, yes.
All right, and we're going to pull it up in just a minute. You know what picture I'm talking about. Did you
Yes.
personally take that photo
I did.
on the day at issue?
I did before the accident.
Okay, and it's hard to tell who the 9-year-old is there.
Thank you.
Are you on the right or left?
I'm on the right.
And Moses is on the left.
Yes.
And are you going up the ski lift?
It looks like it.
This is Defense 86. If we haven't moved for its admission, I would like to do so.
No objection.
Defendant's 86 is received.
And I notice, do you have a helmet on there
I do.
and goggles?
Yes.
Did you always that day while on the slopes?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon testified, for instance, you were not wearing a helmet or goggles or any face covering whatsoever. True or it's not true?
I think you can see the evidence that I was wearing a helmet and goggles.
So answer my question, please.
Sorry.
Is it true or not true that at the time of the collision and in the aftermath, you were or were not wearing a helmet
I was.
and goggles?
Correct.
Did you ski at all that day without a helmet?
No.
Is that for anonymity? I'm saying it wrong.
Anonymity?
Thanks for saying that. And
When your
also
lawyer can't
for
pronounce
safety
these
or both
words.
or what?
It's for safety primarily, but yes, I like to, when I'm skiing, try to keep a low profile.
You were asked about. Well, let me back up even further.
Okay.
you told me you learned to ski at Alta.
I did actually.
Tell me a little about that.
Nobody cares.
My father was, he loved skiing and he had learned later in life. And so he was determined for my brother and I to learn how to ski when we were young. And he used to do these really sweet one-on-one ski trips with us where he would take us to various destinations, and Alta was one of them.
And then he died young, true?
Unfortunately,
And
yes.
did you stop in his 50s? That's how I'm in my 50s, but
I'm in
did
my
you-
50s.
did you
It's very
stop
young.
skiing for a while?
I did. I was pretty devastated by his death, and just being in the ski resort and on a chairlift, it was difficult for me. So I avoided it for a few years until I had my own kids, and then I heard his voice in my head thinking I should teach them how to ski.
And Brad Falchuk, you were dating him at the time.
Yes.
And now married to him.
Yes.
Were you skiing with the Coldplay guy, according to Ramon?
No.
Who's the Coldplay guy?
The Coldplay guy, I believe, he's referring to my first husband, Chris Martin. He's the singer and he's a guitar player and a piano player in the band Coldplay.
Thank you. And did this kind of blending of the family's trip have some significance to you?
Yes, this was
Grunt and grind.
this was a significant trip for us. It was the first time Brad and I were introducing our kids and doing something together as to see if we could blend families.
There's an implication that at the time of this collision, you were distracted. Were you distracted?
No,
Were you paying attention to where you were skiing?
I was.
Was there anyone in front of you?
There was not.
There's an implication that somehow you're looking at Moses up the hill to the left while you're skiing downhill. Were you doing that?
I was not.
Carrie Oakes of Deer Valley does say something in her deposition about the kids wanting you to see them or something. Were you in fact, did you all meet at the top of the hill?
I think we were 6 in our group plus our ski instructors. So we would always meet that day at the top of the chair and kind of plot out where everyone was going.
Great. Okay, the 6 people, let's just make sure we know who they are.
Myself, Brad, my stepdaughter, Isabella, my daughter, Apple, my son, Moses, and my stepson, Brody.
Okay. And then you had paid for each of the 4 kids to have their own individual instructors.
They were all very different levels. So Brad paid for his kids and I paid for mine.
All right. The $1 that I'll probably waive in closing, but not this minute. Were you planning to ski the whole day?
I was.
And did you send a little text after lunch?
Yes.
Can you bring this up? And I'm going to get this board.
Has it been admitted?
So good question. D110 is the text.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 110 for defendants is received.
These are kind of hard to see, and James is going to bring it up. D110. It's 3 years. 83A is the better copy, I guess. So, Gwyneth, do you have a defense binder there?
I just have my deposition.
And so, for ours, I'm going to hand you this binder. Can we move to admit 83B?
No objection.
Defense Exhibit 83B is received.
It's a little hard to see.
Okay.
And James, could you blow up the last sort of, yes. I think we need to go back just a little more to put a date on it. Do you recall I asked you, hey, did you text anyone that day? Do you remember this?
Yes.
And this is your own personal cell phone copy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and there's a date. Sorry, it's a bad copy. February 24, sorry, February 26, 2016. Is that in fact a true and correct copy of your phone screen?
Yes.
And who were you texting with? Do you recall?
Eric Christensen, the ski instructor.
All right, so we went down Bandana. So you'd already been down that very, oh, my board. I'm gonna get my board in case this is better copy. All right, okay, cool. Which one's you, on the right or left? Do you know? The green?
Eric is the green and I'm the white.
Okay, cool. We should take north side up, question mark. That's you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back out. And in the afternoon, let's go with the, okay, let's keep going down. Oh, let's go Ruby left. So you're coordinating a little bit
Yes.
on the mountain in real time, correct?
Yes.
And then, sorry, James, I'm testing you out here. Moses wants to know if you are still skiing and where. All right, so it's 2:29,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, no one's thinking lawsuit yet, right?
No.
And that's you on the left with the G, and it
Yes.
says, can you read it?
It says, I came in. That guy sort of hurt me. I'm going to get a massage at 3. Gigi is here if he wants to come.
Okay, Gigi was helping with the kids?
Yeah, Gigi was our babysitter.
All right. Did you go in earlier because you had been hit?
I did, yes.
Did you personally pay for a ski pass at Deer Valley?
I did.
And was it a full day pass?
It was.
And was it, is this monetary difference between the full day pass and the half day pass more than $1?
It is.
I don't know if I'm guessing the insurance carrier hired the attorneys. That's usually the case.
Norman kept saying when you were allegedly hit. Were you hit?
I was hit.
Applicable policy.
The definition of an assault is an unauthorized touching.
Yes.
Did Mr. Sanderson touch you in an unauthorized manner?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
You may.
Oh, there was groaning and grunting. There was kung fu fighting. It was unauthorized. She did not consent. I don't believe her. This one's not clear to me, but I find the guy that was in the ski group more credible than her.
And you should
just
disregard the question.
I'm gonna want to see what he says.
Did he touch you without your permission?
He did.
The sexual part, by the way, that's just for a split second. You're thinking, what's going on here?
Yes, I was trying to put together what could possibly be happening behind me.
A scream. I think there are a couple witnesses that said they heard some noise.
Yes, when we fell.
Is it impossible you let out a noise upon being hit?
I think it's impossible that I let out a noise upon being hit because it was a very slow move. It wasn't an impact. The impact came when we fell on the ground. So it's very possible that when the impact was made, I screamed, but I do not recall making a sound until we were falling or on the ground.
Okay. So a collision, when I think of two skiers hitting each other, I think of a hit and then a sort of separation between the two.
Yes.
Is that what happened with you?
No, this was very strange. It was a slow in between my skis with his skis. And then like 1,000, 2,000-ish. and then a fall.
It was a little
The
bit frightening.
defense has prepared an animation exhibit that will be shown next week. Have you personally reviewed that?
I have.
And does it
Whoa.
accurately state what you believe has occurred that day?
Yes.
Part
Now,
characters.
it's not precise in the sense that it's not actual video of the event, right? But it does a good job of sort of setting the stage
Yes.
and animating what occurred.
Your Honor, there needs to be some clarification as to what part of the animation he's referring to.
Agreed. It's sustained as to vagueness and
Sure.
therefore relevance.
Sure. Have you seen the animations?
I have.
All right. Not every witness saw everything. Fair to say?
Fair.
All right. For instance, you didn't see anyone in front of you, but you felt someone behind you.
Yes.
So you wouldn't possibly know, for instance, where Sanderson was coming from.
No, he was behind me.
I'm trying to satisfy the
Pardon me?
prior.
Objection leading.
Sustained?
I think so.
Animation.
I think she's trying to pull back from
fairly
it.
represent your story.
I think so.
It does.
I do. You know I do.
One thing Craig Ramon said
Sounded a
is
lot like that.
Mr. Sanderson was out cold for 2 or more minutes. Do you recall that testimony?
To be honest, he's said so many different minutes so many times, I don't recall exactly.
All right. Assume that he said minutes. That
Okay.
He was literally unconscious for minutes. Did you observe that?
That Mr. Sanderson was unconscious for minutes?
Yes.
No, he
Or-
was not.
Or unconscious at all?
I don't know. And based on what I've heard from the doctors, you can be unconscious for a split second. So it's possible he was for a split second.
So where were you as you go down the hill?
On the right side of Bandana,
Was there a reason you were there?
I just tend to try to, especially on a crowded run, I was trying to ski, a little bit to the side and make turns.
Were you being an aggressive skier? Like, I'm gonna go
No.
as fast as I can to get
This
down.
is a green run with lots of families. Absolutely not.
It's a green run, but it's not a bunny run, right? It actually, it's one of your favorite runs?
It was one of my kids' favorite ones. They were learning.
Gotcha. Because it comes down quite a ways.
It does. It's a nice long run.
And was this toward the top, do you recall?
It was toward the top, but not at the top, if that makes sense.
Would you have observed, first of all, did you personally look and see Mr. Sanderson
On the ground?
after the event?
Yes.
And was he unconscious when you saw him?
No.
Then they're saying Eric Christensen, the Deer Valley person, came over.
Mhm.
Did you observe that?
I did.
That
And
did it for me right there.
they're saying that he yelled aggressively toward Mr. Sanderson. Did you observe that?
He did not yell at Mr. Sanderson, no.
He's going to testify on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
From your interactions with Mr. Christensen, is that consistent with his personality to be aggressive like that?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for character evidence.
Sustained?
How many times before had you interacted with Mr. Christensen?
Well, it's a while back now, but I know that we had him teach my son Moses on at least one other occasion. He was always incredibly kind, very patient. My son was a beginner and frustrated that he couldn't ski better faster, and Mr. Christensen was incredibly patient and sweet with him.
He's a high school art teacher, I guess, on the side, or
Yes.
one of the other.
He makes pottery.
There
That's
was
all
an
I need to
early
know.
comment about a hit and run. Did you hit and run?
Absolutely
Sorry.
not.
And Deer Valley was dismissed on that, was the prior party and was dismissed. Do you recall that?
That's correct.
I think there was an allegation that
They write themselves, don't they?
Eric Christensen did some funny business with the paperwork to protect you, his paying client.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance?
Sustained.
Did you expect Eric Christensen to falsify his paperwork?
Of course not.
Agent and representative in the legal world, I can tell you, is a little different maybe than in the acting world.
Right.
This idea that when Eric told me to leave,
Mm-hmm.
I felt okay to leave.
Yes.
Just comment on that. Was that a cover up?
No, certainly.
Your Honor, relevance?
Sustained.
Was Eric Christensen your legal representative on the mountain?
Objection, relevance?
Overruled on that.
Go ahead.
No, he was not.
Did you stick around for a while after the collision?
I did indeed.
Going back to the $1, Eric Christensen, you had paid Eric Christensen to teach your son how to ski that day for the full day, true?
Yes.
And was his attention diverted as a result of your collision?
Yes, for a while.
And that $1 of damages, does that also take into account that fact?
I haven't quantified, if you break it out, what a Deer Valley ski instructor makes per hour, but I think it's more than $1.
The comment was the word symbolic was used, but did you in fact lose $1 or more as a result of the collision?
I did.
Did you hurt yourself? I'm sorry. Did Mr. Sanderson hurt you by hitting you?
He did.
And please explain.
Well, when we fell over, my right knee felt like it had been overstretched and my back hurt.
All right. And you got a massage, but did not seek medical care. Is that what I understood?
I did not.
Eric Christensen's going to testify on Monday. He's going to say words to the effect that he heard and turned.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon similarly said that, didn't he?
I believe he did.
He wasn't focused just on Terry right before the incident. He heard and turned and saw them a group go down, correct?
That's what he said.
Sustained.
We'll let the jury remember then.
Strike that question if that wasn't even a question.
Yeah, the question, the answer, and the comment afterward are stricken. You should disregard.
Moses and Apple are coming, and Brad on Monday morning.
They are.
Missing school to do it.
Apple will be missing school, unfortunately, and Moses will be on spring break, so he will not be.
You've heard, next week you will hear from our experts, but do they 100% support your version of what occurred?
Yes.
And I said your version of what occurred, but I do mean to say what occurred. You know what occurred, right?
I absolutely do.
If they didn't, they wouldn't be your
When
experts.
they say, did
part of the
anyone
gig.
witness this? And Mr. Sanderson doesn't really remember things. You remember things, don't you?
I do.
Objection, leading?
Sustained.
Were you knocked out?
I was not knocked out, no.
Do you have memory loss of the event?
I do not. I mean, it was a long time ago, but
That's fair. One moment, please. Just one quick thing. We're going to bring up a Deer Valley receipt that actually shows the amount paid.
Any objection to this exhibit? What is it? Which number is it? Any objection?
No objection.
Defendant's Exhibit 85 is received.
We want to protect an address if we needed to, but it turns out we don't need to. So there's been no objection. And James, would you bring that up? There's an address there, maybe enlarge so D85, move for admission if we haven't. And then is this your actual receipt from Deer Valley?
yes.
And it's in that binder in front of you if you need to look
Okay.
at it.
What number is the
Yes,
exhibit?
let me come get that. And
You may.
85.
Okay. I see. Thank you.
All right. It's kind of hard to see.
I can see it.
The tab between the four of you for 4 kids, couple days, nearly $9,000, eh?
That's what they charge.
I think, again, there's this assertion that because you were paying Eric Christensen, you expected him to lie for you. Do you,
This characterizes questioning, insinuations, or evidence.
Overruled, the jury will recall the evidence or the questioning and the answers before.
I mean,
All right.
it is
Does that mean I
a
don't?
fair characterization.
Ah.
Look, let's be honest.
So
did you expect Eric Christensen to lie for you?
absolutely not.
But he was on your payroll, wasn't he?
But this is what Deer Valley charges. So anytime you go and you ask for a private instructor, that's the fee, unfortunately.
Okay, and we'll let Eric talk about this on Monday.
Okay.
Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Orman?
I will be quick, and I promise that actually will stay the case. If I can find my glasses. All right. Just to follow up on a couple things you were just asked about. You were shown the text message, I think that's on that board there.
Yes.
And counsel had asked you, that text message was made before there were any lawsuits going on, right?
It was.
Okay, so are you aware that Mr. Ramon reported to the ski patrol that you hit Terry in the back about 10 minutes after the crash?
I don't understand the question.
That's not in evidence.
Are you aware that Mr. Ramon, about 10 minutes after the accident, reported to ski patrol that you struck Mr. Sanderson in the back?
I don't think so.
Okay, if that report was made, 10 minutes after the crash, that was long before a lawsuit was even contemplated as well, isn't it?
Yes.
You mentioned about keeping a low profile. You like to keep a low profile
When skiing.
when you're skiing. Correct. Does screaming at the top of your lungs profanities at Mr. Sanderson when he's on the ground keeping a low profile?
After an incident like that where you feel hurt and violated, unfortunately, adrenaline can take over and emotion as well.
Okay. And counsel had asked you about touching you without your permission. I just want to make clear, we didn't do the little
Dance.
Thank you. Yeah, the little dance. But when I tried to reenact it with myself, which is, I'm sure I'll get crap for that later from my children, it was the front of his body that you believe touched you, right?
Yes.
Not his arms, not his hands.
Correct.
Okay. And when you guys fell to the ground,
He
you
led with
landed on
somebody.
him. He did not land on you.
That's right.
Okay. All right. You screamed when you fell?
What I remember, the first time I remember yelling was at Mr. Sanderson after the accident, but it's possible that I could have yelled when we were falling.
Okay. And then you've described and kind of put with your fingers how Mr. Sanderson's skis went in between yours. Do you have any explanation how somebody, if you're moving, because you were moving, right?
Yes.
He's moving.
Don't ask this question.
How somebody could, I'm just going to call it thread the needle, stick. How can somebody, as
Don't
they're
ask-
moving down this
Dumb.
hill, have the ability to put their
Don't
skis
ask
in
this
between
question.
yours when they're like 18 inches
Stop.
apart?
I don't know, but that's what happened.
Okay. You had testified that this was a crowded run.
There were people on the run.
Okay, but you've just said when I asked you questions earlier, nobody was in front of you.
Nobody was directly in front of me, no.
Okay. Were there people in your vision in front of you?
There were people on the run.
Okay. It was crowded.
It was, I think it was moderately crowded on that day.
Okay. And some of the people were your daughter and Carrie Oakes down below, and your son and Eric Christensen to the left and up a little bit.
I believe so.
Okay. And you've mentioned that Mr. Christensen was kind and patient with your son.
He was.
Okay.
Very much so.
All right. You did pay him a lot and tip him well.
I paid Deer Valley Resort. I don't know what the resort pays their instructors, so that would be a question for them.
Do you tip Mr. Christensen well?
I hope so.
Okay. Me too. But I would hope also if you're going to use this, you'd had him as an instructor before, right?
Yes.
Okay. You would expect him to be kind and patient with your
You
son.
bribe him good.
Well, he was
Yeah,
kind
we
and
got
patient the first time, which is why we asked to have him again.
Okay. Great. You said that you stuck around, but while you stuck around, you never asked Mr. Sanderson if he was okay.
Correct, because he had hit me and I was very upset.
All right. You still didn't think it would be appropriate to ask somebody if they're all right?
Mr. Christensen asked if he was okay, and he said he was. Meaning Mr. Sanderson.
I think you said that he mumbled it.
He said, I'm okay.
You've been asked a number of questions about the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You were asked in your deposition, were you not, to your understanding, you're making a claim for the sum of $1 as a symbolic loss, right?
Yes.
And you said correct. Yes?
That's right.
Okay. And then I also asked you in your deposition, are you telling me now you're making more than the sum of $1? Do you remember what your response was?
I don't remember.
You said no. That's not the case though, is it?
Agreed.
It's a yes or no.
That's an improper question. She gave the answer.
Overruled.
It's a yes or no. Are you making a claim more than $1 in this case?
Now I am, yes.
Thank you. No other questions.
Mr. Owens?
Actually, sorry, before that, one more. What's changed between now and when I took your deposition in 2020?
What do you mean?
Well, in 2020, you said No, I'm not. Now you said now you are. What's changed?
Well, you're making so for me, as I said, there's a delineation between the $1 that I would receive and the lawyer's fees being reimbursed, which is not.
Okay, so then you're not changing your position.
No.
Okay, so you've always been seeking more than $1.
At the time of the deposition, I was seeking $1 for myself.
She's made this point.
And I don't recall at the time of the deposition if we were also asking fees reimbursement.
Well, I'll represent to you that that was pled in the counterclaim. I could show you a copy if you'd like.
I'm sure.
Do you disagree with that?
Do I disagree with?
That in the counterclaim where you have sued how I got involved on this case,
Yes.
that you had asked for $1 plus attorney's fees.
I am asking for
I don't like
$1
this
plus
argument.
assessment of attorney's fees, or that they're being paid.
And from day one since you filed the counterclaim against Mr. Sanderson.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to pull up P3, which I think has been admitted. It's the Deer Valley report by Eric Christensen. And for Gwyneth, do you know what the D number is? So can I come? May I? I'm going to just show you D3 here.
Okay.
It's not the same. Do you know what our Deer Valley? I'll tell you what. Would you come?
I'm in. Let's do. Which one? Me? One of them on the screen? Which one you want to take a shot at?
I have a laser here. If I need it, it's a little red thing. Did you see this on the first day of testimony? And James, maybe do the top third.
I hated that dollar argument and the fees.
Yes.
I don't believe Paltrow, but it's an unfair argument to her.
Male skier took her out from behind.
Beyond a dollar.
Is
Yes.
that what happened?
Yes.
This report is accurate?
Very.
I didn't see it, but heard her scream as she went down. Do you dispute that?
I don't.
I skied directly to her. Did he do that?
He did, yes.
The man was behind her. Both were in discomfort. Is that all true?
Yes.
During lunch, she talked of being stiff and sore. Is that a true statement?
It is.
Can we go to the second, third now, please? I'm glad you can see it on your monitor. We had a hard time getting those going. All right, I'm going to look here. It says on the right there, a patroller came by to check on everyone. Do you have a memory of that?
I don't.
All right.
I'm afraid.
And then the bottom third, please.
Your Honor, I'm going to object that this goes beyond the scope of my read, direct, cross, etc.
Your Honor, I'm addressing this because she was asked additional questions about sort of who hit to. First thing male skier stated was that she, meaning you, appeared right in front of him. All right. Did you hear that?
No.
Do you dispute it occurred?
No.
Thus admitting he was the uphill skier.
He was.
She never saw him because he came in from behind.
Correct.
Did you see Mr. Sanderson in front of you?
No, he was behind me.
Did you have a lash in your eye or otherwise have some eyesight problem?
Nope, I still have 20/20. I need reading glasses though.
Were you blind in one eye and limited in the other?
No.
All right. I think there's a reference here that given your height and Mr. Sanderson, less height, being less tall, that somehow you couldn't have felt him against your back. Can you just comment on that?
Well, he was uphill of me, so he was higher than me, and he pressed whatever of his body against my back when his skis slid between mine.
Were you standing still when the skis came between you?
No, I was gently skiing, and he kind of gently skied right into me.
Does that mean Mr. Sanderson was going faster than you were going?
No, it wasn't an impact.
Okay. Well,
until we hit the ground.
To come up upon you.
Yes.
I guess he had to have been skiing a little faster than you. Fair?
I don't know because he was behind me, so I don't know what he was doing.
All right. Ramon said that Sanderson had his head downhill, spread eagle, out cold. Did you observe that?
No.
Was his head downhill?
Your Honor, objection goes beyond the scope.
I think you're going beyond the scope.
Your Honor, she was asked about, I'll move on, but she was asking about where people were.
She did ask for people landed in her redirect or recross, so you can go into that.
Thanks. So you heard Ramon say spread eagle, head down, right?
I did.
Out cold.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have noticed if he had been spread eagle? First, just comment on that. Yes or no?
Objection pleading.
Sustained?
Just comment. Like, I did see him spread eagle, or he did not. I'm trying to be as broad as I can on that.
Well, that's leading.
Okay. It is. That is true. Was your head, when you came to arrest, downhill?
Both of our heads were in the same direction, uphill.
So Ramon said they were both downhill.
That is incorrect. The expert today even said it was impossible for him to get lift off. And so that's just not what happened.
The comment was that you cursed at him. Why didn't you say, pardon me, sir, I think you inadvertently ran into me? Why didn't you do that in a nice, calm manner?
Again, I felt violated. I was upset. I was worried about my knee. My back hurt. It felt violating to have somebody press their body against my back. I was full of adrenaline. I was really upset. And I'm sorry that I cursed.
I think Ramon said something like someone gave him the stink eye. Your Coldplay buddy, he wasn't your Coldplay buddy, but gave him the stink eye or something to that effect.
I don't remember that.
A mean look.
I don't know who that would have been, and I don't remember.
I mean, that is
probably wasn't too happy that someone had hurt his girlfriend.
You really sound like a jackass.
I'll let it go. Who hit who?
Objection has to
Oh my
answer.
gosh.
I want it.
What a waste of time.
Sustained.
3 words, Your Honor.
Asked and answered.
We'll let it go. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Cross.
It's 5:00. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the jury, let me just give you the same instruction that I have given you a few times. So we're recessing now until 9 a.m. on Monday morning. And so you'll be on your own over the weekend. Before we recess, I need to remind you of the following instruction. Please do not discuss this case with anyone, including other jurors. Please do not attempt to learn anything about the case outside of the courtroom, including from other jurors. Please avoid radio, TV, internet, and newspaper reports on this case. Please keep an open mind throughout the presentation of the evidence, and please do not form or express an opinion on this case until such time as it is finally submitted to you for deliberations. And the final instruction is have a great weekend. step down and you can leave too.
Excuse my client.
Yes.
We may call our client in our case. Any objection to that?
No.
Okay. And
I mean, I don't know if they have an objection, but it would be proper because you're limited by the scope
I'll go.
of cross before.
thank you. Can we sit for a minute? Because I'm not quite
Sure.
done.
Is there anything we should address before the weekend? I know there's a brief that's due by the defendants rather by noon on Sunday.
That's right.
There is one other thing we should probably talk about is
I'm sorry?
timing. We need to talk about timing on witnesses. I know
Yes,
that
that's
you
what I want
got,
to talk
yeah, okay, great.
Let's talk.
Anything else for the court?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
So how are we going to, in theory, they were supposed to arrest today. I'm not complaining. I mean, there's one more witness, as I understand it, which is Terry Sanderson. Can the plaintiffs confirm?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, so
So
we're,
on Monday morning, we'll start with Mr. Sanderson.
no.
Okay.
I need to be heard on this.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't say no to you, Your Honor. We have 7 witnesses lined up because there was no question that plaintiffs were going to rest on Friday. So 7 people are all lined up back to back. And Mr. Sanderson's here, and I didn't expect them. We sort of flip-flop this in
Oh,
a
good
way
Lord.
because they've heard from
Not
the
happening.
plaintiff, they've heard from the defendant before we've never even heard from the plaintiff. But
Is it your
I
first
have
trial?
back-to-back witnesses.
They get to choose the order of their witnesses.
Tuesday and Wednesday, which leaves Mr. Sanderson to testify on Thursday next week. It is possible that almost all of these people have flown in from out of state to be very precise on timing. And I don't think we should be punished. I think I raised this several times, like I need to set up our witnesses. And I'm talking about 16 witnesses, very busy physicians out of state. My client's family is coming in just for this and then leaving. So I'm not critical. We are where we are, but I made it clear multiple times that and I don't want to be limited in my
unbelievable.
time for Mr. Sanderson.
And Your Honor,
So what's the request?
Seriously.
That
That
we
we take
work,
witnesses out of
we
order?
work in Sanderson when we can.
All right. And what's the plaintiff's position on that request?
Hell no.
What do you propose happen?
We have a case, and we'd like to have it finished so that we can rest appropriately. Terry Sanderson is an important part of that case. We have a right to put him on. Now, I don't want to throw stones here, but there's a lot of reasons why this took longer than it should have, okay? And it's not our fault. We worked as hard as we could. So I think we take Terry Sanderson on Monday.
Of course you do.
We will have him for about an hour.
yeah,
And then you rest the case. Then you go to the defense case.
I will commit to the court that we will be done with direct in an hour.
Okay.
This isn't a
So
close
I think
call.
we do that and we fit him in as we can. I mean, we had problems too. You know, we caught a witness short to get out of town. That happens.
And after that witness, then you'll be resting?
Yes.
Okay.
So this puts me at a bad position, Your Honor, with my witnesses. I raised this
Welcome to
multiple
trial.
times. We're going to rest on Friday. We're going to rest on Friday. We're going to rest on Friday. Some of these are Deer Valley people. This is the best snow year in 20 years. They're losing income by coming. And some of them, for instance, can come during a 2-hour window. That's how tight it is.
Is anyone in the 9 to 10 window?
Yes. So it goes.
Then you're
Moses
unrealistic.
is probably going to go this way. Moses, Apple,
For
Brad,
kids.
Eric Christensen.
For kids are first. You can move around them. They have to be there. I've heard enough. Judge, cut this off.
Whitney Smith, Steve Graff. Right now, we're not calling Carrie Oakes, and she's not under subpoena.
And why can't the family members be called later?
Right there, you know they're wrong.
Carrie Oakes, actually, I don't think we've made a final decision on. Your question once more, I'm sorry.
Why can't the family members be called later?
They're missing school.
What
They're
a
taking
horse's
flights
ass
in, flights
this
out.
guy
I
is.
promised them they'd be on and off that morning. And I did that on some good faith basis here that we're going to start our case on Monday morning.
Okay, well, here's my ruling, is that I agree with Mr. Sykes. The plaintiff has their case. They're entitled to put their case on.
Good.
What I'm
Thank you,
hearing is
Judge.
that there's one more hour before they rest. You don't have to cross-examine the plaintiff at that time. If you have witnesses that you need to put on right away, you can call the plaintiff in your case. And it sounds as though, you'll have to make some adjustments for that 1 hour. I think it's a reasonable way to look at it.
You can call the kids whenever you feel like it.
Sure. I mean, I've ruled, do you,
It's something related.
You might be right or wrong. This isn't even close.
It was our understanding Carrie Oakes was subpoenaed by the defendant.
Yeah, we were counting on that.
She's a very key witness, and we understand she's subpoenaed for this trial. We are counting on her being called. During the case.
called when? Oh, okay.
There's
Well,
no
I don't
subpoena.
think he's outlined all the witnesses he's calling.
He did represent that he's not sure if she's been subpoenaed.
I know she has not been subpoenaed.
Well, you've got the weekend to subpoena her.
So we relied on them.
Thank you, Kurt.
On
We didn't want
who?
to have to call her, have her here twice. We relied on their statement that they would call her. And that's the problem.
Coordinated with their counsel
Yeah.
too, to that.
And
If she's unavailable, then we'd ask to read her deposition.
Yeah, see if you can work it out over the weekend, get her here, and if not, we can do the deposition.
That really is, because we relied on that.
So I need to
We relied on that.
Okay.
So I don't represent Deer Valley, just so you know. Deer Valley has a lawyer. He's been involved through the whole thing. You've seen my correspondence with
He
him.
knows, jackass.
You can show me any emails. I'll stand by whatever I
Your
said.
appearance is
Yeah,
on file.
I don't
But
think.
I don't control these
It's
people.
Friday afternoon past 5 o'clock. I only want to hear what I absolutely have to hear so that I can prepare for Monday morning.
Can I just say one last thing? The defense told us Carrie Oakes was in the case, going to be heard on.
Right over my head. Hear about it formally rather than, I guess, just comments flowing back and forth, lawyer to lawyer. I'd like to hear about it. I'd like you to lay out what is the issue, what do you want me to decide, and what are the facts that support that?
Fair request, we'll do that.
Okay.
I want to put one thing on the record. We have provided to plaintiffs highlighted testimony of Jenny Sanderson, who's our witness on Tuesday, March 28th.
So have you provided the plaintiffs with your expected witness list for Monday?
I just outlined it.
Have you got everything you need over here for Monday?
What was that list one more time then?
Okay.
So the order might need to be jostled.
And then the other thing is that the parties are going to get together about redacting any personal information on the exhibits.
And what I'd like to do, Judge, is have both sides, so we don't have to admit everything and take extra time. Let's just do one motion to admit all the exhibits, both sides.
Well,
Fair enough?
if referenced.
Unless there's an objection on it.
If they've been referenced in the trial, not if they haven't been.
You guys work that out and we'll
Yep.
address it maybe at 8:30 on Monday morning. Actually, I think I have a hearing at 8:30 on Monday morning. I do. I have a hearing at 8:30 on Monday morning. So it'll have to be at 8 o'clock if there's anything that the court needs to address. Okay?
Your Honor, do you plan to address that motion that we're going to send you some briefing on?
Do
by
I need
Sunday
to
afternoon?
before we start on Monday, or could it be done after hours on Monday?
I'd say after.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
not
think
one
you
of the
need to.
witnesses.
That's correct.
All right, we'll look at doing it after hours then. All right, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hallelujah. I was wondering if I was out of goat scream. All right, don't worry about it. Yes, I got to take Flamingo 4 out. She's chomping at the bit. But that was fantastic. That was fantastic. I don't believe you want to know where I'm at right now? I don't believe her. I don't think she was horrible. I thought the plaintiff's attorney was not great but good enough on direct. I thought Ms. Paltrow started okay, but over time I just believed less and less, and that's it. She jumped the shark with the essay insinuation. That just destroyed all credibility for me. That makes zero freaking sense. Zero. A 69-year-old man attempted to assault me in that manner with snow pants and a ski jacket on, and no, that is not what happened. That to me, I cannot believe it on any level. I don't think she thought that. It destroys her credibility for the rest of it, for me. It does. I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't see it. I'd love to see the video. But that destroyed her version of events for me. That was a bridge too far. But that's just my gut reaction. It's certainly a factual determination. Someone can come to a different conclusion. That's just what my gut's telling me as I watch this testimony. The other guy, I thought was okay, but right now I think she ran into him. Also, Dr. Evil's testimony was good. There was a lot of that stuff, but the accident reconstruction expert, it was obvious, but he made it a good, compelling case of the force involved and the likely mechanism of injury, in my opinion. That's where we are right now. All right, I got to go. I've already gotten dragged around Michigan Avenue. Now I got to go out for dinner. It should be fun. Thank you all for coming out. I will see you soon.